tell you for a fact that this election is between.
I have my analysts and, of course, our guests on the program to look deep into the impact of this new Naira note on our economy and, of course, the political space in Nigeria. And I'm talking about Dr. Aliyu. Ilias, thank you so much for joining us.
Right, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I know this is your space, and we need to talk about it the way it is now. You talked about a lot of things. In fact, one of the questions many Nigerians are also will be looking towards is the counterfeiting of the currency, the high circulation volume outside bank vaults now, and of course the short supply of these clear notes and many other things right there. A lot of people have questioned that, is this the right time? Looking at challenges that the economy is facing, forex policies should have been part of what we'll be focusing right now.
Well, approaching this trajectory is definitely going to be counterproductive to the Nigeria economy. And looking at that, because the major problem we are trying to solve is inflationary problem. And Nigeria inflation problem is majorly cost push inflation, which simply means it is food price hike inflation and foreign exchange inflation. So looking at these two backgrounds, redesigning new Naira notes may not have effect on the level of inflation, because ideally we're supposed to be changing Naira, design our Naira note between 5 to 8 years per time. However, when is it the right time? You recall that during the December itself, we naturally have inflationary problem, which is caused by festival, which is their Christmas and New Year. So that period of time, there was a lot of expenditure. So there's going to be natural inflationary problem. And if you look at the inflationary trajectory, it has been increasing. And it's not a Nigeria problem per se, it's a global problem. So looking at it, it's going to be counterproductive to Nigeria economy for now.
Well, indeed, it's taking us 20 years to actually take this decision, and which the policy says 5 to 8 years we should be able to make some new currency. But let's look at the questions many politicians, of course, many people have been talking about. Is it a win-win situation for the politicians or the political and the economic space? Is it a win-win for them, knowing fully well that there are lots of indications of vote buying prepared by many political parties? What exactly?
Well, the thing is just this policy of new Naira design is going to dollarize the Nigeria economy. Dollarize. We are trying to curb the level of dollar in the economy, but now we are going to have increments in dollar in circulation. You know why? People are preparing that. Now that they knew that very soon we are not going to use this currency, what they need to do is to convert their Naira into dollar. So by the time they convert it to dollar, they keep it anytime, any day, any Naira you bring, they can always exchange. Perhaps they can even do transaction with dollars. So these are this is the challenge. So it will now deepen the challenge of inflation, because foreign exchange will now be a serious problem. So these are the things that we need to look at and make sure we profile a lasting solution, not this cut and join solution that I call it, because you want to redesign. You look at the cost of redesigning itself. It's another thing. We don't print Naira in Nigeria. You may want to go to polymer or do a very secured currency, but when we have election, I know when election is coming, there are more money in the circulation. It will definitely not, because a racketeer who do business in dollar will definitely be smiling at bank now, because it's going to have more dollar, because people are coming to buy more dollar from. By so doing, you give room for more dollar in the Nigeria economy. That's a serious problem. And for a businessman, he would rather keep his money in the bank. It should be remain there. He will not even bring it out, because is this between 2-3 months. So a businessman will say, even during the inflation period, it's always better to keep your money in the bank, because it won't lose the natural the value. So people would like to. Then for a layman Nigeria, if you notice, 5 Naira, 10 Naira, 15 Naira, 100 Naira is not considered in this trajectory. And if you look at that also, go to African countries, people are still spending coin. You may say, yes, the cost of producing coin is expensive, right? Turn it to paper and let us have this little denomination to spend. By so doing, things will come down. You cannot buy common, I wouldn't say tom-tom or any what you call it, sweet and what have you. You can't buy those candies at that very little price, and it's killing the economy. It's eroding the value of Naira itself. So it's going to be counterproductive. We should rather look at how do we help food hike inflation, because if you look at food is 23%, while the real inflation is 20.77 inflation.
And that is what we just had now,
exactly.
Because flood is also going to affect.
That's another problem. Now look at the multiplier effect of this flood. The fact is that all the system of anchor borrower system, farming system,
rice
we have rice. Rice is like our bragging rights in Nigeria. That bragging right is being eroded because most farmers who borrow from maybe a conventional bank 200,000, 50,000 naira. What I've watched that way, how do you bring sucor to these people? How do we now create an irrigation farming during dry season that will have farming all year round, that will not have more shortage of food availability?
Well, you say this is a distraction, coupled with the fact that this is a campaign season, and a lot of people are focusing on various topical issues. Will you say this is a form of distraction from the federal government?
Let's look at the political economy. If you remember, 1982, Buhari also bring this type of idea. But it was a military era. You could do things overnight. But this one, politically, if at all you want to witch hunt or you want to make it to affect persons, they are much more prepared. Nigerians are very smart. So now that this period of about a month, they will do what they want to do. So it's not going to have effect on political issues because they know how to set it. Perhaps, how many people deal with even physical cash anymore now? So if you convert the Naira, you redesign the Naira, it's still there in the bank, so it can be transferred to the next person, and they can always do that. So that you want to change, redesign the Naira will not stop a politician who want to bribe his or her way through the election. It will definitely not have effect on them.
Let's look at the impact of fighting corruption. Anti-corruption agencies have said that, especially EFCC, have said that this is they've lured CBN on this particular movement and said this is a better way to fight corruption.
Now,
do you think so?
Well, let's look at that. The only reason why I will agree with EFCC and CBN is that if there's a way there could be security in that money, whereby when you keep over a particular amount, computer digitalization will dictate how much you have kept and you can be traced. That could be the only excuse. Do you get what I mean? Perhaps if they say that now this new design money, if you have 5 billion in a particular place, there will be an alert that will say, yes, a tracker that will say this amount, so amount has been
kept wrongly.
Yes, kept wrongly. You can trace. That could be the only, but that it will solve maybe a kidnapping or ransom. These things are not. They can collect dollars. So by the time they collect other currency, they can collect pounds and other currency. So it will not be a problem. Then we talk about counterfeiting. Now, to solve counterfeiting, it's not that you will wait for 20 years. No, you have to keep redesigning and working on the. That's how developed countries also do. So that it will reduce corruption. Trust Nigerians. The more you try to provide a shock, or you want to block a particular, they get mutate. They get mutate and they move to a different direction. So you must now be on the how do I call it, on the cloud, watching them, because people will go, they will want to defeat you, and so it will not reduce corruption, if you ask me. It
will not reduce corruption. Well, we hope that it's also a fight against corruption. But let's look at the Naira, which the CBN governor also talked about, that this will help boost the Naira policy in our country, Nigeria. Do you see it that way?
Now, if you look at the introduction of Naira so far, maybe 3-4 months down the line, have we actually seen the effects? No, it is not shown yet. So I wouldn't know how it will affect. The only thing that most people are doing electronic banking now, because I saw they give a license to some PSB, about 5 of them, to still dipping the Naira. I think the Naira is good for the economy, but they must find a way to persuade Nigerians, convince Nigeria. Perhaps the ministries and MDAs can find a way of be paying through that platform. Then by so doing, the public servant or civil servant will find way of also doing that, or encourage businessmen that if you pass through this particular place, you won't pay some cost. Like now there is a window now that you can deposit more and there won't be charge on it. There can also be a window that once you use Naira, you will not need to pay some so amount. So it will, because so there should be an incentive that will make Nigerians
motivate Nigerians
to use that platform. That would be very, very. I think that they should look at that area.
All right, let's look at. You talked about rising our country Nigeria with this particular thing. Now let's look at the value of Naira as against other currencies. Do you think this will also, as we speak right now, dollar to Naira is about going to 700 and something now, not even reduced, it's not gone there past that, maybe 6, 7 something now. Now, so do you think this will help reduce or boost, or probably it will fight the value of Naira?
Well, if you ask me, if you look at UK, United Kingdom is changing their, redesigning their currency,
as we speak,
not because of inflation, but because of the change from Queen Elizabeth. So now that is the only reason. And if you look at the time frame itself, is another thing. It's not military era that you just change things. So for me, people will now have more preference for dollar now, because I would prefer to have a dollar in my account, that whichever way you design your Naira, I can always change it, tender it somewhere, and I'll convert it. So it will give dollar much more. Now it's 700 and something. And like I said, originally by December, we know that there will be serious need for their dollars. There will be inflation that period. Now you are going to add more salt to injury. That's why I said it's going to be counterproductive. That time, a lot of people will be contending to even get dollar, because I'm traveling to my village, and even the core corner of my village, I can still convert dollar to Naira. So I would rather go to go to where I can get it. Perhaps another problem we are not looking at is that West Africa, we have much more Naira in West Africa because we do more business, our number, and what have you. Now, those Naira also will be struggling to come to Nigeria. So now when they come to Nigeria, we are also losing something. We have African Free Continental Trade Agreement. We're also losing out in that area because it will affect our trade and what have you for that period. Another thing is that Nigeria should, in a place of fighting to redesign Naira, we should be fighting to have a unique currency for West Africa, so that it will benefit Nigeria and our business will fly more, because we are the major consumer, we are not producer in West Africa. So if we can do more, and with our number, 200 million, we can affect the West Africa, and our currency will become a legal tender in the whole of. So we should look for that in a place of looking at how to really convert or redesign that. We just have a maybe little effect on the Naira. So we should fight for that, so that it will help us to be at the top of African Continental Free Trade Agreement that we are signing to.
All right. In your own perspective, do you think we are ready for this particular process?
Well, it's government. My only challenge is that if you look at the logistic that is involved, the cost of printing, and when it arrives, perhaps it arrives Abuja, the cost of distributing this money to the whole country.
And we have lots of banks, a lot of
things. So if you look at that, look at the cost, it's very, very. And we are also complaining about forex. Now we are going to get that forex and moving to go and print it outside and bring it, and that's another problem. How do we have minting and printing, and we can't do such a thing in our country? It reduces us as a country.
Indeed, it reduces us as a country. Before you go, I just want you to talk about the visit of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to South Korea. Actually, he had to visit South Korea to attend the BAO summits right there. And part of the things he actually did was some bilateral agreement, and of course, designs with South Korea government right there. How do you react to
now? Well, if you look at when the President actually came on board in 2015, he made mention of using yen.
Yeah.
There's a dollar trap, or there's a name. So now we are thinking that an average Nigerian who does business with China, we expect that, let me use yen. By the time you use yen, it's reduced the effect of what? Of dollar. So now that we also go to Korea now, we are encouraging them to come and invest in our businesses. They will also be looking at the value we are bringing on board. Perhaps the challenge of insecurity is a problem. Normal business people may find it not much comfortable, but we just have to. So it's a good move that we are wooing them to come and do business in Nigeria.
Well, indeed, thank you so much, Dr. Aliyu Ilias. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation.
Thank you for
today.
having me.
All right, and that's the wrap on today's edition of Straight Talk right here on Bright Television, home of talk and entertainment. Don't forget that the program is basically designed to look deep into issues that affect Nigeria and Nigerians. And definitely, we always remind you, we keep telling you, when you play your part, I play my part, we have a better place called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On behalf of everyone that's been part of the production for today, we say thank you so much. My name is Ayobami Adeyemo. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.